Well, hello, and welcome back to the BackLog, and welcome back to our final episode of Citizen Sleeper 2. We will finish up all the things. We've got 4 little drives left to do. We've got to revisit Oliveira. I think this is a minor drive. Investigate Hexport, that's major. Finish the reboot. I think this will be our last thing right here that we do. And clear out Utspo. That is also a minor. And that will give us enough that we should be able to finish this completely and have him all the way ready to go. So let's go exploring Dark Side here. Pep facility. Junie's studies. Yes, very good. We can process raw scrap. Ooh, let's do that. Not that we really need the money. We're kind of fine, but while we're here, we can buy a meal. Very good. Oh, reboot prep. Yeah, we've got several. We got a safe house we got to clear out, and a dark side exchange to muck around with. So let's look at the exchange real quick. This is probably, fill fuel. And fill supplies. We're going to leave the supplies for a second. We got a safe house to clear out. Should be pretty easy, but boy, oh boy, can we dish it. Let's do this one. That'll give us a 6 for sure. And 2. And if we do this one, it gets us also 2? Also 2. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter which one we do. So we might as well get the 2 and do a 5. And this one should do it. Clearing Utspo. You watch as the last stack of crates is guided up and out of the cavernous Utsubo safe house. You doubt it will be long before this space is filled. Darkseid will not tolerate a vacuum for long. The city takes every opportunity. Its inhabitants build in every crack and crevice. As Utsubo's spaces are cleared, they'll be occupied. The gang's legacy will be buried under factories, kitchens, markets, and housing. But the people will remember the cold and desperate grip they once held on this place, even if the city doesn't. Come to gloat. The voice takes you by surprise, and you turn to see Orin floating in the shadows, arms folded. He drifts forward to the pool of yellow light. You overthrew a tyrant. You should be pleased with yourself. His tone is flat, and you're unsure how to read his statement. It wasn't just me. Many people did this. I suppose. Yeah, Orin eyes you. But from what I heard, you burnt those pale eyes out of his skull. He smiles with a thin smile. I imagine it was quite the sight. You don't recall the moment of Lane's death. In fact, the abstract nature of that moment, almost dreamlike, means you had almost forgotten. You tense a little as his scream comes back to you. A screech of white noise bathed in white light. Orin is still watching you. He almost would have respected you for actually doing it. Orin inspects his knuckles. If he could have respected a creature like you. What do you want? Orin grins. Just to satisfy my curiosity. I came here to clear out the old disease, just like you. Orin gestures to the space. Utsubo had to go, and I came here to be a part of that process. You can't burn everyone you don't like out of this place, I'm afraid. Orin folds his arms. This is our home, whether you like it or not. I didn't like Lane. It's hard to imagine anyone did. He saw Darkseid for the opportunity it was, and woke Utsubo from its slumber. He turned the gang into an administration, and the city into a machine. He was too erratic for my taste, perhaps, but he held this place, shaped it into something. I see that you've no intention of doing the same. So what'll happen now? Orin meets your eye. You've created a space that must be filled. Will you take responsibility for that at least? The people will decide. Or will they? Orin chuckles. I can see that. You don't know the first thing about Darkseid and its people. The people decided on a Tsubo. You changed that. Now you want them to pick something else. They are opportunists, all of them. They'll choose for their own benefit only. In the end, I should thank you. The city was done with Lane. Orin gives you a nod. And I'll be honest enough to admit that you did what I didn't. But never forget that you're an outsider here. And Darkseid hates outsiders. Before you can respond, Orin kicks off and glides up towards the upper levels of the safe house, leaving you alone in the empty space. Though you do not put weight to his words, they still sting. Perhaps, you think, there is something to them. Who are you to decide the future of a city when your own future is falling apart each cycle? Is your decline a spiral that can trap others in its wake? Or a necessary transition? A crisis before a new shape emerges? You hug your arms close to your side, suddenly cold in the stripped bare safe house, and ascend once more. There's one minor and 1 point. Okay, I think we've got to go from here. We got to actually visit a place, and then we've got to go over here to Hexport's remains. Hold on, I've got 2 more dice to spend. I don't think there's anything to spend them on, honestly. As the rig drew closer to Hexport, the crew became silent. Now, staring out at what's left of what was once a thriving station, you feel empty. The full extent of the damage is impossible to ignore. Grim, Seraphin shakes his head. It doesn't feel like we were here that long ago. He sighs. And now this is what's left. You look at the clouds of scattered debris, the layers of the station torn open to the void. It's a reminder of how close the war and the unseen atrocities of the inner system are to shifting into the belt. I don't like digging around in a place like this. Seraphin turns to you. Let's be quick about it. Agreed. We'll be fast. We need to know what happened. Seraphin nods. Looking at this place, I'm not sure that's going to be possible. You look at the gutted station. It's hard to know where you might start among all that debris. You head to the airlock to suit up and get ready. You ready for this? Cadet catches up with you in the passageway. This place is already giving me the creeps. I'm ready. Cadet nods. If there are answers to be found, we'll find them. What a waste. Junie's getting ready to go out with you. The belt only has a few stations left like this. Cadet takes a suit from the locker. Seraphin said the radiation is lower than expected, but still too high for prolonged exposure. The suits should keep most of it off of us, but we can't take long out there. The stress on the suits and the rig, she sighs, we'll be forced to leave in 3 cycles. Cadet grabs a helmet. Not a moment more. You get ready too, your mind filled with memories of Hexport. You hope to help you navigate the shattered ruin, but looking at what's left, you doubt it. Oh no! Okay, radiation stress is a go. Let's do this. Okay, we do have a +1 over here at the hunt for data. That's good. So we will start there. Good, and then we're gonna risk it on a 2. Gonna risk it. Flip that switch. Boom! Oh, very good, Junie. Very good indeed. And you really can't help right here, right now. Well, boo. Okay, well, we'll go the easy route over here. So that was 1 each. Can I get 2 each here? Oh, I can get 3 each. Okay. Well, let's just do this then, shall we? Yeah, just finish that. You hear that, Sleeper? Cadet stops among the debris just outside the ruined exchange. The search so far has been thankless. A grim slog through endless debris. You're glad of the break. You stop, floating in the dark, and listen. There's a hissing on the open comm channel. A hissing you've grown used to. Now that you listen to it again, though, you notice something else in the noise. There's something different to it now, a texture, a modulation of tone? Is that a voice? Cadet cuts in. Someone is speaking. Her eyes look wide through the faceplate of her suit. You listen carefully, and yes, perhaps there is a voice there, though it is quiet and distant. It could be a person speaking, or it could be some residual signal from an automated system, one that's slowly dying in this wasteland. You see Cadet moving around, testing the signal strength from different positions. It's coming from the direction of the docks. Her voice hisses through the comms, layering over the broadcast. A survivor? The Cadet meets your eyes, both of you hoping this might be true. It's probably just a comms echo. Seraphine's voice cuts in over the comms. We can't go chasing ghosts, not with so little time left. The rig can't sit out here getting cooked by radiation, and neither can you. Seraphine's voice distorts and shifts. You should move to the epicenter, where Factory Row used to be. That's where this all went down. Cadet looks at you, and you know she wants to chase the signal to the docks. She wants there to be someone there, calling out to you. You look over towards the remains of Factory Row, the epicenter, as Seraphine called it. It is now a cloud of debris and fragments of bays, a shadow of what it once was. For the first time in a long while, you think of Carson. You look back at the remnants of the docks, a few warning lights and systems still flickering away in the ruins. With not much time left here, you have a choice about where to focus your efforts. Okay, we can go to the epicenter, and she can actually help here, navigating the debris. And she can't help here. Okay. Oh, man. That is a lot of ugh. Okay, well, we have to do that. Oh, it's the one thing I'm bad at. Well, it's the one thing she's good at. Okay. Well, hopefully you get us some good... Oh, you got the negative outcome with the double stress. No more of that. Thank you. Blast analysis. All right, so that's 2 for that. And this gives me a 4. Neutral outcome. Yeah. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to push and try to get the positive outcome. Boom. Okay, there's our first cycle. Almost through blast analysis. Junie, are you going to be able to help at all? You are not, so maybe, Junie, maybe you start in on this. Yeah, oh, actually, yes. Very good. Okay. You feel it the moment you wake. A flicker at the edge of your perception. A sensation beyond your body. A blinking, a tugging, and then numbness as something shuts off within you. The panic is instant, the feeling of something not being right within you spiking your fear. But no pain comes. You feel no further shifts, and as time stretches out, you settle again. You calm yourself. You know immediately that this is what Bliss was referring to. Your frame's decline. The reboot should reverse. You flex a little. Feel your body try to ground yourself in it. It will not collapse this cycle, but something has changed. This is how it'll be until the reboot. You hope you have long enough to finish what you must. You begin the cycle slowly, holding the pieces of yourself together. You try not to let your thoughts wander to darker things and fix your eyes on the tasks ahead. The belt drifts past the window, following a flow of its own, expanding, collapsing, shifting it on its way. People say it is drifting away, getting further from Helion's star. That one day it'll drift out of the system altogether, into interstellar space. You find a strange solace in that, somehow knowing that entropy is the way of the universe makes your own decline palatable. At least for a little longer. Oh, I've gained a permanent glitch. Permanent glitch is represented in red on your glitch clock and will not be expended when rolling glitched dice. Oh no, this can't be fixed. Oh no, oh, but Junie coming in with the good dice. Okay, you With your bad dice? Oh no. Okay. Well, I fortunately have some great dice. So this is a 5. And this is actually a 6. So if I get 2 and then 2, I'd only need 4. Okay, so I only need 4 for next cycle. All right, let's finish this then. Yeah, we should be able to get them. Let's go. Blast analysis. You float in the pieces of what was once Factory Row. There's little way to see what these pieces once were, scattered and scorched as they are. You can't assemble them back into that place in your mind, and the longer you've searched here, the more that this broken place has weakened your memory of what it was, when it was whole. But you've managed to put something together here, part of the story of Hexport's final moments. That story is told in the blast marks on the exterior plates, the patterns of debris, the materials and makeup of the station's remains. Beyond that, one other thing is remarkable. There aren't any bodies. It seems that Hexport had some warning. The lack of docked ships, the lack of mass casualties, though the explosion surely killed many, it all suggests a station that had time to react, to at least evacuate, in part. And then there's the blast, an explosion that the evidence points to as coming from the outside of the station. It's hard to tell, as so much secondary damage was caused by debris and shrapnel, but the pattern is there if you look. Something catches your eye and you look over to see Cadet arriving alongside you, studying the same debris as you. Let's put it all together. The pieces come together. A moment of warning, an evacuation, then an external attack. The first causes the second. You know the drone mind was here, being scrapped for code and data, screaming for it to stop, and then something happened, something that its captors could not control. There was a crisis, rapid, panicked, and Hexport was killed for their crimes. It was a cover-up, wasn't it? Cadet's been watching you think through the evidence, and you see the flash of recognition in her eyes. They wanted to hide what had happened here, what they were doing. It had to be Senatstadt. Who else would sacrifice a station to remain hidden? You can see the anger in her eyes. The theory is hard to refute. They brought the drone mind here to study, to scrape, to gain any advantage from, and when something went wrong, Hexport paid the price. The logic is cruel and cold, the kind that the vacuum of the Helion system allows. You find no comfort in knowing the truth. Sadness. All right, well, we can at the very least follow this down too. Oh, that gives 3. Oh, perfect. Okay, all right. One more cycle, and we must away. Oh, there's our glitched dice. All right, Junie, why don't you help us out here? And then if I can't get it with this, Cadet, you can join us. Urgent, the broadcast echoes through your comms. Retrieval required. Conway network agents, please respond. You float beside Cadet, the two of you shocked to silence by the sight in front of you. Both of you have traced the ghost signal deep into the docks, all the time wondering if it might be the voice of a survivor. But you had not prepared yourself for this. In a corner of the docks, there is a nest of machines, a gathering of drones and motorized sleds, crane systems and docking clamps, a nest for the drone mind. Stop, please. The voice shimmers with distortion, relayed on the same carrier signal as the ghost broadcast. We wish to be recovered. You don't know the mechanics of what you're looking at, but you understand it. The drone mind fled here. But how? You exchange a look with Cadet, and she seems unsure of what to do. You switch your comms channel to the broadcast signal. We won't hurt you.
Recovery requested.
The drone mind's voice trembles with glitches.
Confirm Conway extraction's role and identity.
You wonder what this mind knows. Is it just an interface designed to speak between humans and drones with the recognizable cadence of intelligent speech? Or is it a thinking machine? You hear a click as Cadet switches to a private channel.
This thing is a weapon.
Her voice is flat, unemotional.
We should be careful what we say here. Confirm Conway extraction's role and identity.
The drone mind intones.
Please.
We aren't Conway. There's a pause. You see Cadet tense.
Please retreat.
The nest shudders.
Please retreat. Leave us here.
Look, Cadet hisses through the private channel. It's hardwired to the station. You look where she's pointing and see a single thick power cable snaking from an industrial wall outlet. The nest is clustered around the other end, huddling close to the fading power supply of the station, like it's the dying embers of a fire.
Urgent.
The broadcast starts again.
Retrieval required. Conway network agents, please respond.
Cadet moves forward a little. I order you to deliver a report on your current status. This is a direct report from Conway Control. She turns back to you and shrugs. It's worth a shot.
Confirmation. Impossible. Connection severed.
The nest fades, then flickers back to life.
Temporary bypass activated. Cognitive function, minimal. Power supply, minimal. Hardware, suboptimal. Configuration, no drone units connected. I am alone.
The shift between communication registers, between formal and human, is unsettling.
Code center compromised. Data extracted by third party. Self-destruct disabled. Purge protocol disabled. Parts of the nest fall away.
The power draining faster as the drone mine attempts to draw more from the station.
Please.
The drone mine acts nonsensically.
Please stop.
Did you destroy this station? Cadet moves close now, bearing down on the nest. It is little more than a pile of broken machines cowering in a corner as the power fades.
Self-destruct attempted. Process failed. Hardware purge attempted. Process failed. Self-preservation protocol activated. Propagated through the station network. Station failed. Central failure imminent. Please stop.
The machine in the nest begins to go dark.
Please stop. Please stop.
Cadet turns back to face you.
It didn't do this, she sighs. It tried, though. Tried to destroy itself and take the station with it.
She turns back to look at the failing mind. Hiding in machines it was not built to inhabit.
It escaped into the network and ended up here.
It isn't responsible. Responsible or not, that's enough. Cadet reaches over and rips the power cable from the wall, leaving it floating. The nest shuts off, the broadcast channel going silent. The bay goes dark. What was left of the drone mind, whatever protocol or data escaped into these machines and their network, it's gone now. There's no hardware left to hold it. This is why Hexport was destroyed. The drone mind got out, entered the network. Who knows what it might have done? Could it have taken apart the station itself, overloading every system, opening every airlock? Was its drive towards self-destruction that strong? Someone didn't wait to find out. Its escape sealed the station's fate. Come on. Cadet glides out of the room, leaving you among the dead machines. And that's it. Ooh, we met the drone mind. Xbox Game Pass achievement achieved. All right, I think we're done here. Contract concluded. Junie knocks gently on the frame of the burst doorway.
Sleeper, can I show you something?
There's an excitement in her eyes that makes it impossible to say no. Junie talks most of the way down into the HAPPEP facility, which is no short journey. She explains the scale of the data hidden within the station's mainframe, but also the issues with extracting it.
When the HAPPEP was first built on, it first expanded when it became Darkside, after the collapse. No one gave much thought to preserving the existing network architecture.
She guides you through the substructure, picking a route through the maze of shuttered passages.
They parasited their tech directly into the existing system. So now, thousands of cycles later, the two networks are totally enmeshed, dependent on each other.
Junie takes a series of sudden turns, and you realize this is a very familiar route to her now.
Messing with the Solheim network means messing with the system that keep the city going.
She leads you down a long corridor, one you recognize as leading directly to the core. Let her explain.
This meshing is not a good thing.
She shakes her head.
It makes Darkside brittle, fragile even. This place is on more of a knife's edge than anyone would believe.
You look around. Certainly, the underside you're now traveling through looks cycles away from collapse.
But all the data we've been extracting, that I've been archiving, Junie continues, it could help us here. It could help us clean up the HAPPEP systems, and we could turn this place into an archive so that others could come to learn more about the ruins Solheim left us.
What's in all this data?
Anything you can imagine. Everything from corporate message records to blueprints and maps.
She shakes her head.
It's too much for me to process or understand, but thanks to our visit to the bunker, I have a plan, and something that'll help me.
You arrive at the doors to the mainframe, and Junie suddenly stops.
I spoke to Bliss. They told me... She pauses. I'm sorry, Sleeper. I know you have a lot to deal with right now.
Don't worry. Junie smiles weakly.
I'll do my best.
Junie hits a button and the doors hiss open. You both glide into the mainframe. Its columns studded with blinking lights of active traffic.
I got the idea from you, actually. Well, from you and Overseer.
Junie glides over to the mainframe. You look at the mainframe and you see how that it's surrounded by new terminals and wiring. Some kind of external access network Junie's set up.
I've had to beg, borrow, and steal to get this going, but now we have safe access into the network. It's low risk.
She moves over to one of the terminals.
It's not quite finished, though.
You recall the last time you were here. Lane, Overseer, the sphere of white light, and then nothing. You wonder where Overseer is now, if they're anywhere at all. You remember how it felt, being dissolved into the network. The vertiginous possibility of life without a body. Something flickers through the light, a shimmer of movement, like a fish beneath water.
Sleeper?
Junie breaks your train of thought.
Are you listening? I was saying, I need more data to finish preparing.
She shrugs.
I know. We've already extracted so much, but there's often so little of it that's usable among the bit rot and corruption.
Where from?
Hylian Gate is the place to get data. Apart from here, it's the biggest pre-collapse facility in the belt, and its hostile conditions means a lot of it is untouched. If it's too much before your reboot, I get it. I just want to do something with everything we've managed to grab from the bunker and the wrecks. We pulled it from the dark. Let's expose it to the light.
Junie turns back to face you.
Well, this is what I wanted to show you.
She looks away. It's very impressive.
It will be when it's finished, she smiles. Thank you.
Junie turns back to the terminal, and before long, she's fully engrossed. You imagine she barely even remembers you're here. You leave Junie to her preparations and start your ascent to the streets of Darkside. Thoughts of Overseer flickering in the back of your mind. There's not much to celebrate on your return from the remains of Hexport, but you're glad to be back here all the same. There is something surprising in that. Darkside as a haven, not a prison. The slowly occurring idea of this overgrown city as a home. As you've seen in Hexport, stability cannot be taken for granted, not anywhere in the belt. But Darkside has a solidity and life that feels like it might endure. Cadet catches up with you.
We need to talk.
She looks around.
But not here. Come. I have something I want to show you.
Cadet leads you deep into the heart of Darkside, through quiet corridors and bustling streets, on paths you didn't know existed. As you glide after her, the station seems to grow in your mind, its possibilities multiplied by the routes that pass through it.
Just through here.
Cadet leads you across a covered bridge, the view on either side looking down caverns of lit units. This close to the center of Darkside, the air is warm and the passages are quiet.
Here.
Cadet smiles.
This is the place.
She points at a low and wide entrance with storage racks inside. Next door is a smaller unit with a window looking out to the passage. That seems like a workshop, perhaps abandoned or never finished. It's dusty and dark.
I've been keeping an eye on it. It's abandoned.
She glides inside and slaps a wall pad. Lights flicker on, illuminating a constellation of dust. She floats in the glittering specks. Why bring me here?
When we've been on Darkside, I've been coming out here, just happened across it, but I knew when I found it. I want to start again, Sleeper.
She knocks on a metal wall.
And this is where I'm going to make that start. What we saw in Hexport, what's left of it, just confirmed it to me. We can't stop Senetstad, as much as we can't stop the war.
She runs a finger along the storage racks.
We have what? The drive? Our suspicions? Senetstad is vast. How could we pin this on them, even if we wanted to?
She looks over the workshop.
I don't want to think about it anymore. I want to start again. I want to work, to ride my bike and courier packages till I fall into my bed at the end of the day with nothing left.
Cadet picks up an old, corroded tool from the racks.
I want to build something here. In spite of everything, in spite of the fact that they could take it away, because that's the point. To go on living without conceding, to go on building, or trying to build something where we can find it. That's what I brought you here to understand, so you'd know why I'm letting this all go.
You're giving it up?
How much am I supposed to face? To take in?
Cadet's eyes flash with anger.
How many crises are enough to prove myself? I'm not giving up. I'm stepping away.
Cadet meets your eye.
I'm not ashamed. My old life is gone. Clearing my name on the far spindle doesn't matter. The Spindlejacks will have forgotten me. But this place? Cadet smiles. It doesn't know me at all. You know where the drive is. What it contains. You know what happened at Hexport.
Cadet's eyes shine in the workshop lights.
Take it from me. It's yours now. I can't carry this anymore.
I will. She nods.
Thank you. My travels are over. If you need to find me, I'll be here.
Cadet smiles.
Thank you for all you've done. I hope you can understand why I need to do this.
She turns and disappears deeper into the workshop. You cross the bridge again. Darkside glowing on all sides. You think of the drive buried deep in some compartment within the Scatteryard's hub, filled with data worth destroying a station over. It's yours now. But you wonder as you cross back through the city, your mind racing, how can all this end well? We're still investigating Hexport. Oh no. Oh, we have to build Junie's archive. Okay, we need HapPep data, huh? Cadet's busy setting up her new courier service and trying to forget the path that brought her here. Okay, and then I can't talk to her. Cannot. HapPep facility. There it is. Oh, she needs 6 data, and I only have 4. Okay. Let me go grab some data and deal with the... deal with the drive. Oh, it's over here. There's the data. There's the thing. Let's go get the data first. I just need a little data. Bliss has been in touch, Sleeper. Seraphin turns and looks over her shoulder as soon as you enter the cockpit. He's sitting in the pilot seat, running diagnostics on the console. They say they'll be ready for the reboot. Did they say anything else? You know, Bliss. Seraphin rolls his eyes a little. They worry. He turns fully in his seat. How are you feeling? Not bad. I know the reboot needs to happen. Seraphin speaks slowly, carefully, and I know the risks. I can see all that. But I also know what happened last time. He pauses, and I don't want you to forget again. To lose all this. He gestures around the cockpit. Everything we've done. Neither do I. Seraphin nods silently, unsure what to add. I'm not trying to scare you. I just need to say that if the reboot doesn't go how we want, I'll miss you. I'll miss all this. I will too. If you remember, Seraphin laughs shakily at his own joke. Seraphin turns back to his pilot console. Whenever you're ready, we can go to Flicker Row, to Bliss. Seraphin pokes at the console in front of him. If you have things you want to do, I understand. I would too. Here. Seraphin tosses an object across the cockpit, and you catch it out of the air. Take that with you when you go to Bliss. It's good luck. You open your hand and see a familiar metal disc, a coin. Its engraving rubbed away, the little more than vague shapes and signs. Tala gave it to me. Now it's yours. You can't run from this forever, right? He glances over his shoulder and smiles. We've done enough running anyway. He turns back to the console and returns to the diagnostic. You leave the cockpit and run a hand along the ribbed metal wall of the passage outside. Is it really possible that you could forget all this? All these layers of memory, of experience? Perhaps you can put it off a little longer. Take another tour around the belt, tie up loose ends, or perhaps you've had enough of that. Why try to escape the inevitable? You try to recall how it felt when you awoke after Lane interrupted the first reboot. Even that's fading into a hazy memory, told by an unreliable narrator. Maybe this is just the next step then. One of thousands that put you here. And the first of the thousands more that'll take you onward. You come out of your thoughts, still unsure, still aware that the decision of when to take that step ultimately rests with you. All right, I want data. 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 Perfect. I've got 6. And now I need fuel. Okay, Junie. Here's your data. What do you got for me? You've been waiting for what feels like a long time. Junie insists you can't help, so you find yourself floating in the baking heat of the HapPep mainframe while she taps away at her terminal. As you do, you can't help but shake the feeling of a presence nearby, one that you're coming to understand as some remnant of Overseer. You don't know if Overseer was ever really a person, but now, with their many selves combined and dispersed, their consciousness expanding to fill the vast space of the HapPep and its networks, they surely aren't even close to human anymore. You think of them as a ghost. But perhaps now they're better understood as something less mournful, as a system, a process, a thing becoming. The entire station is their body. You can't help but wonder how that feels. And we are ready. Junie hits a key on her terminal with percussive force. It'll take a little while, but she'll be online in a few moments. She looks flushed with excitement. She?
Weren't you listening last time? Junie squints at you. Don't tell me you drifted off.
I was distracted. Junie shakes her head.
And you don't know.
She suddenly looks concerned. A voice screeches out of the terminals. It descends in pitch from a squeal to speaking. Then below the mainframe, a flickering projection appears, first as lines and then as solid light.
Welcome, visitors.
Warden flickers and warps.
I am the Warden. Please provide...
The image jerks and freezes, then blinks out. Junie taps at her terminal.
Just need to reconfigure her for the hap environment.
The Warden? Seriously? What? Junie doesn't look up from the terminal.
I told you last time we need a way to process and understand all this data. Warden is perfect.
This better not blow up in our faces.
It won't.
Junie glances over her shoulder.
I've taken precautions. She can't hurt us. The technician is right.
Warden's clipped voice echoes through the cavernous mainframe bay.
My protocol is operating under safe mode limitations.
Warden's blind eyes stare out over your head.
Do not be concerned, Officer Dom.
Sorry, I'll fix that. Junie chuckles.
Well, archiving was her role in the bunker. She's ideally suited to this, and she understands Solheim networks better than we ever could. Junie smiles. Come on, you have to admit this is pretty cool.
You look at the statuesque figure of Warden, once at the heart of Solheim's intelligence-gathering operations across the belt. Could such a tool of corporate oversight ever be used for something good?
Look, watch this.
Junie turns to Warden.
Warden, provide the last known location of every Solheim vessel above Ryger class in the Starward belt. Immediately, technician.
Warden draws a circle with a pointed finger, and it expands, filling with bright specks. At first hundreds, and then thousands. A constellation of sights.
See?
Junie grins.
This is our future. Built on the foundation of our past, these tools are ours now.
You look at the arc of specks, the points of light describing the shape of a long-dead corporation's power. This is incredible.
Junie smiles. It is. People need to know what this city, this system is built on. Warden can do that, expose that. It'll be up to us to reshape the ruins into something new. I knew when I saw her that I couldn't leave her there, alone in the dark. I've been in that dark pit, and I won't condemn another being to it.
Junie looks at the placid Warden.
Human or not, how we treat her is a test of our own values, of the world we project. Data's not a currency. It's not a commodity. It's the immaterial output of a system, a structure, a society.
Junie meets your eye.
This will be a place to uncover that system for ourselves.
She looks around at the chaotic trailing wires and the floating terminals.
Once I've cleared up a bit,
she laughs. You and Junie spend a little while longer in the mainframe, sorting cables and offering Warden casual queries. Not all of them return useful information, and Junie begins listing out the changes she'll need to make. After a while, you both find yourself tiring, heads aching with all the fresh information you've crammed into them. So you close up the core and ascend back through the layers of the facility to Darkside's surface. As you do, you feel the history of each strata, the layers that make up this place and the belt beyond. Now, more than ever, it feels tangible to you, as if it contains not only the past, but the promise of the future as well. Yes, we're at 2! And only a few left. Let's go investigate Hexport, and then we'll visit Olivera. The workshop of Cadet's data scraper friend is just as the two of you left it. You remember the cycles you and Cadet spent in here, poring over that dark data, the strange fragments of the drone mine's protest seated among the old code. You find the drive where Cadet told you it would be, in a compartment under a padding of a bunk lined with thick shielding that makes its contents undetectable. As you pull the drive out, the metal cold on your hands, you have a sudden urge to smash it to pieces. This object, which escaped Hexport when so many others didn't. When Senate Stat, and it was Senate Stat, you're sure of that now, decide to cover up what they'd done, they first made sure that this drive would get out. that it would pass to the far spindle and then onward. But something went wrong, some miscommunication or mistake. That's all it was, a tiny slip, and it all fell apart. Now the drive is in your hands instead. You turn it over in your hand. You know the drive contains Conway access codes, control codes, and perhaps more beside. Data of great value, data that would win a war. You also know you're sick of thinking about it. I think we need to take the drive. Maybe that's the loot goblin in me, but yeah, take it. You slip the drive into a pocket and close up the workshop. You head back to the rig, and as you do, you turn the drive over in your pocket, unsure what the next step might be. As you glide through the hub, you pass shop fitters and crews, all moving on their own vectors. It seems strange to carry the drive past these people, all of them totally unaware of the threat it might pose to them, to this station. Excuse me. A stranger stops you in the passageway with a hand on your shoulder. Can I ask you for your help with something? Their sudden appearance shakes you out of your thoughts. You quickly take your hand out of your pocket, off the drive. You look at the stranger in front of you. He's roughly dressed in a heavy coat, but he's otherwise unremarkable. You could have passed him many times before and not have known. I'm looking for something. He looks over his glasses at you. A little lost drive. Who are you? This matter concerns my client more than me. He leans back a little, his voice calm. So introductions won't be necessary. But the drive belongs to my client, and he would be very happy to see it returned. Suddenly something catches your eye. A set of dice, like those used to play Star and Stoker. The stranger is playing with them in one hand, turning them over end in the station's microgravity. What's with the dice? The stranger looks down at them, as if he had forgotten he was holding them. I must admit I love to play games to pass the time. I enjoy the chaos of Star and Stoker, with its unpredictable shifts. He spins the floating dice. My brother, however, prefers the systematic progression of Tavla, with its inevitability. I suppose it runs in our family. He sighs. But I won't bore you with childhood stories. Please, let us be direct. He gives you a friendly smile. My search for the drive brought me to the scatter yards, but from here, the trail went cold. That was until you arrived. He pushes his glasses up to his face. Then the trail lit back up again, just like that. The stranger moves his hand in his jacket pocket a little, and you see a shape in there, a box-like impression in the fabric. My client never intended these events, you must understand. One of their other contractors proved to be overzealous in an attempt to conceal their mistakes. The result was the regrettable situation you saw in Hexport. But for all that to be for nothing, that would be a waste beyond the original act, piling insult on injury. The stranger sighs. There is much to be gained in a system desperate for peace, for the war to be ended. And wars tend to end when one side concedes. The drive will end the war? The stranger laughs. My client will greatly benefit from its retrieval. Any more is hard to judge without seeing the provenance of the data. Only a few possible futures remain for the belt. My client will facilitate one of the better ones. That is why I'm here. But if you need additional persuasion, I am authorized to offer you 300 cryo as a reflection of your efforts. The stranger smiles again, his tone never straying from its businesslike calm. Now, can you return my client's drive? The stranger's hand shifts in his jacket pocket. You have the feeling this is not a choice you can deny. Yes, so if he is a Senate stat intermediary, and he gets us the Senate stat, there's a likelihood that there will be a future peace. What that peace will look like, I have no idea. But a peace. So I'm going to give him the drive. You take out the drive and place it in his hand. He quickly pockets it and with the same hand pulls out a block of chits bound together with tape. Thank you. The stranger bows his head for your cooperation. He turns and glides away, disappearing down the passage. You slip the chits into a pocket. An unexpected boon. The belt is no place for principles over survival, and you know that well. In the end, a contract is just a contract, and data just data. The stars spin on regardless, and they'll not hold judgment over you in the end. You suppress a shiver and hurry back to the rig, doing your best to forget the past, hoping it will not repeat itself. At least in the end, someone got paid. Yes, and I don't have, again, it's one of those things where I don't have enough information to really know, hey, is Conway better than Senate Stat, or are they equal? I just don't know. But let's grab Endure Plus and be fully buffed. Look at that. Look at that. We've made it all the way down here, fully buffed. We can make no more use of these things, but let's go finish another minor drive. Travel to Oliveria.
Stop.
A shadowy figure meets you in the docking tunnel.
No saboteurs allowed.
Hey, kid. Seraphim glides forward and ruffles the figure's hair. Still playing sheriff?
Nah, just bored.
Xander grins.
What are you two doing here?
He glides alongside you and Seraphim as you drift through the tunnel. None of your business. Seraphim pushes past. No offense, kid, but you aren't actually the sheriff around here. You pass through the familiar doors and back to Oliveira. A surprisingly pleasant feeling, oddly, like coming home.
You came.
Candence is there in the docking concourse, waiting to greet you.
I'm impressed.
Seraphim's face immediately erupts into an uncontainable smile. Candence. He turns to you. You two remember each other, right?
Sleeper saved the colony.
Candence's deadpan answer seems intended to cover for Seraphim's awkwardness.
Yeah, I remember them.
The four of you descend down through the docking tower together and into Oliveira itself. The colony looks much the same as when you left, though you pick up from Candence that changes are coming.
Carmen's back with a vengeance since Darkside.
Candence smiles.
He's all about expanding and improving the colony, which is why I asked you to come, Sarah.
The nickname slips out, but both Candence and Seraphim clock it and glance at you. As you reach the core of the colony, you see the increased activity. There are more colonists than you remember, and they move back and forth with purpose, carrying crates and tools. The chatter, less than usual.
We need all the help we can get to sort the place out.
Candence notices you watching the stream of freight and people.
Carmen wants to do some kind of event, an anniversary, I think. Honor the founders and all that. Gonna be a big party,
Xander grins.
Can't wait. So, Candence looks between you and Seraphim. What do you think? Up for some colony-mandated manual labor?
She grins. Seraphim gives you a sideway glance, observing your response carefully. How could you say no? Okay, I guess we're gonna do some labor. Oh, Oliveira's Independence. There it is. Oh, just whatever we decide to do will work towards Oliveira's Independence, except eating. Eating is not. There we go. We do need fuel. Yeah, this one's the fuel. No. Hydro refinery. That's the one. Okay, it's the first one I went to, but the past cycles on Oliveira have been busy enough to take your mind off of most things. All the heavy lifting and manual work has been a welcome distraction from the looming specter of the second reboot. And the good mood of the others has been infectious. Seraphim's been almost annoyingly upbeat. His relationship with Candence, the worst kept secret in the colony, but working alongside them, it's hard to ignore their deep feelings for each other. Xander's been happy because he's something new to rib Candens about, and Seraphim, with his self-serious manner, is an easy target for pranks and teasing. Xander also hasn't been able to stop talking about the party, which he already seems to have decided will be one of the highlights of his youth. But now, finally the cycle of the party has arrived. The canteen is done up with hanging light strips, weaving gently in the asteroid's microgravity. The strips themselves salvaged from the emergency lighting of wrecked starships. With the work stopped and all the colonists yet to arrive, you find the reboot filling your mind once again, growing like a shadow. Something on your mind there? The voice takes you by surprise. You turn to see a colonist you haven't met before, an older man in some sort of supportive chair, his hair shot through with gray and his face sallow.
I didn't mean to startle you. My apologies.
His pale eyes scan you.
It just seemed like you might need some company.
There's a strange look in his eyes that you can't quite place. He's looking at you like you've met many times before, but you've never seen him before in your life.
Looks beautiful, doesn't it?
He gestures to the canteen with his hanging lights, his chair propelling him forward with little puffs of air.
The young people did such a good job. Warms my heart to see it like this. Never thought this rock could ever be a home.
He looks sideways at you. Have you lived here long? Have we met?
Us?
He shakes his head. No.
Sorry if I'm being a bit too familiar.
He coughs a few shallow coughs.
Just you remind me of someone who did a lot of work for me. But let's not chat about me. I want to know about you.
He turns his chair a little.
What's eating you? The way you were staring at those light strips, it was like they were about to leap down and strangle you.
His chuckle becomes a cough. Time is passing too fast.
It'll do that to you, that's for sure.
Just run away from you. He holds up a shaky arm.
Out on some unknown vector. That's just a truth of the world, and so many other truths rest upon it. We have our time, some too much and some too little, but it's ours, and in the end it's all we have to our name.
The colonist squints at you.
Sorry, I'm not good with reassuring people, I just remembered that.
He smiles.
But I do like chatting.
He looks back at the light strips.
Really lovely, isn't it? Just beautiful.
You look back at the light strips now as the hum of people arriving filters into the canteen. There's something in the air. Anticipation. The sense of a rare moment passing through. Something to hold on to and then let go. The light strips really are beautiful. When you turn back to the old colonist to agree with him, he's already gone. Hey, sleeper. Seraphim pushes through the new gathering crowd towards you. Got your drink. He offers a pouch of some amber liquid.
Hey.
Candens comes up alongside you and hugs you with one arm.
I wondered where you were hiding.
She smiles warmly at you with her infectious smile. You think about mentioning the old colonist to her, asking her about him, but Seraphim hushes the two of you. Carmen's about to start. You follow Seraphim's eyes to the front of the canteen, where above the heads of the now quite large crowd of colonists, Carmen floats, surveying the room.
We meet this cycle,
Carmen begins, his voice loud but clipped, formal in a way you haven't heard before,
to first remember those founders of this colony, those lost and still with us. I will never forget the distress call that brought me here to the wreck of the Pilgrim Seed. I will never forget the scenes that greeted me, and I know some of you were there too.
A rumble of acknowledgement moves through the crowd.
But I also know that many of you that many of you came here to take refuge from other troubles, and I would like you to be able to remember too.
You glance at Candens, her eyes fixed with incredible intensity on Carmen. They look wet in the glow of the light strips.
There were thousands of refugees in the Pilgrim Seed, and too many, far too many, were lost. Those from Ember's Step, Ember's Song, Ember's Hearth. Those from the Three Sisters, from Erlin's Eye. Many are not here in Olivera any longer, taking their own paths across the belt and beyond. But we acknowledge them all,
Remember them all, lost and found, present and absent, because without them here, there would be no colony here. Before the wreck, Oliveira was a handful of buried bays, a scrapper hideout, a place for old and tired mercenaries like me to hide themselves from the universe and forget what they had done. But when the Pilgrim Seed was wrecked, it brought the universe back to Oliveira, and I could not hide any longer. Carmen stares out across the crowd with a hard glare. We built this canteen from the Pilgrim Seed. We built our homes, our farms, our refinery. We built our independence from their failed hope. A rustle of discomfort goes through the crowd. Carmen pauses to let this settle. We should not be ashamed or afraid of this. We will remember this gift. We will build on it. This cycle and every cycle after, we will thank them with our actions. The crowd mutters agreement. Carmen takes a deep breath and straightens up. A weight seems lifted from him, the weight of testimony. Now, here, in this room with you, I will thank them with my laughter. A cheer goes up. I will thank them with my joy, with my celebration. Another roar of approval. We will all thank them as loudly and as chaotically as we can. The room erupts into cheers and applause. I'm going to join in. You cheer and applaud too. You whoop, and Seraphin laughs nearby. Then you feel a pair of hands on your arm. Candon's pulling at you, grinning and crying. And you feel another hand on your other arm, Seraphin dragging you into the crowd. Suddenly you're in the thick of the crowd. So many bodies in one room, dancing and spinning and shouting. It's like nothing you've ever seen. And you notice the rest of the crew in the melee. A flash of a familiar face here and there among the mass of colonists. You see Xander being thrown up in the air by a group of different kids of different ages, laughing madly as he bounces off the ceiling. And for the rest of this cycle, you think about nothing else but the joy of those around you, and the joy it instills in you. You wake up in your berth, the same light that always shines in the belt shining incessantly through the window. You're slow to rise, slow to begin this fresh cycle. At some point, Seraphin arrives back into the rig with no indication of whether he slept or not. You find him in the cockpit, leaning in the pilot's chair, looking at the lights of Oliveira and smiling. Good party, he chuckles. Not sure I've seen anything like it. How's Candon's? Seraphin gives you a look. Oh, she's great. She loves seeing you let it all go, he smiles. I did too. Seraphin yawns and stretches. So, he sniffs. Oliveira's all fixed up, colonists are happy, blah, blah, blah. Where to now? Back to Darkside. If that's what you want, he grins. That's what we'll do. Seraphin pauses for a moment, something passing over him that makes him shiver. I heard from Tala. He looks away. Wellspring is still in transition, but the Union Council's taking over. Kirk got what he wanted. The blockade will come down soon, but, he sighs, I'm not sure I'm ready to revisit that place yet. He looks at you and smiles. When I come back to Tala, I want to have something to show for myself, you know? I get it. Family, he shrugs. Maybe once the reboot's done, once the blockade is down, maybe we can visit then. Seraphin takes a breath. We'll get there. Some cycle soon. You aren't sure if Seraphin's trying to convince you or himself. He stretches, shaking off his feelings. For now, though, the belt's ours to explore. Oliveira filled our fuel tank, so it really is up to you where to go. He gets up. While you're deciding, I'm gonna go dig up some breakfast. And he glides out of the cockpit. You take a moment to look out across the tiny lights of Oliveira, dwarfed by the crater and the wreck that sits at its far end. Not bad. Not bad at all, you think. Another upgrade point. Can't do that one at all. Pilgrim Bloom discovered the origin of Oliveira. Travel to Oliveira. We've done that one. We've finished that one. Oh, there it goes. Now it's done. All right. There's nothing left for it, everyone. Let us finish. All right. It's time for us to begin the reboot. You turn Seraphin's coin over and over in your fingers as you stand and flick a row. Crowds pushing past on either way to whatever future awaits them. Your fingers glide over the worn metal as you imagine Seraphin's have, Tala's have, in moments of anticipation. Perhaps others, before the coin came to be Tala's, have repeated the same ritual, the same nervous routine. But their fingers were human, born, not made. This intrusive thought makes you slip the coin into your pocket quickly, as if it had delivered a shock. You hear a hiss, and the door of your shop slides open, revealing Ankita. You see her eyes scan the crowds almost defensively before she spots you there and nods in your direction. Stay silent. I think she'd like that. Ankita turns away and disappears into the lights of Flicker Row. You take a final moment and then will yourself inside, leaving the glimmering lights and the shifting crowd behind. Bliss is perched on a console. They turn as you enter.
Finally, they smile weakly. You were making me think you wouldn't show.
I saw Ankita.
Oh, yes. Bliss looks away. We're talking again. She has a lot to do and she needs the backup. I don't think Ankita does very well unless she's busy, so it's for the best. Bliss shrugs. I don't think she'll ever change, but people surprise you sometimes.
They smile tentatively.
Anyway,
Bliss sighs.
This is not what you're here for. We need to focus on the reboot. I'm sure Seraphin told you, but everything is ready.
Bliss gestures to 2 couches with straps, freshly built connectors, and a bundle of wires at the one end.
I hope it'll be comfortable for you both.
Feeling confident?
As confident as I can be, Sleeper.
Bliss goes over to one of the benches to triple-check the connector wires.
This is uncharted territory for us all. I've run tests and simulations, but each Sleeper's different, and you, in particular, are so very different from your stock frame. Flint's been very patient in allowing me to use them as a reference point.
Bliss forces a smile.
It's you who's doing me the favor, Bliss.
Flint leans in the open doorway, watching you both. Their pale face seems even more drained of color than usual. Flint comes inside the shop and nods to you.
Let's do this.
They take a shaky breath.
I'm ready.
Flint and Bliss go silent, and the sound of the crowds outside filters gently into the room, mixing with the whine of the air cycler and the hum of the terminals. There's not much more to say. Bliss looks at you both.
Okay.
They pause.
Let's begin.
Bliss helps you and Flint into your couches. You settle there and slide your arms and legs under the straps that'll keep you in place. The connector, with its thick bundle of wires, weaves above your head. It's hard not to feel exposed, lying here on your back, anticipating what is to come. It's even harder with the memory of waking up to this very same ceiling with its bundles of dangling tech and scratched plating forces itself into your mind. You've been here before. Last time, you woke up to fear and panic, woke to a desperate escape and a shattered mind, a reboot interrupted. The thought sets you trembling. But then, staring up at the same ceiling, the trembling dissipates. After all, you're back here now. That means you survived this crisis, grew from it. You took the hit and bounced back unbeaten.
All good there?
Bliss's face floats to your vision. Oh, good. Bliss smiles.
How about you, Flint?
You turn your head to see Flint lying beside you, stiff and still. They managed a tight-lipped nod. Looking at Flint staring up at the ceiling like you were a moment ago, you feel a rush of sympathy. After all, they haven't faced this before. You have. They're stepping into a future they can't see. You've been here before. Now you're just completing the journey. Reach out to Flint. You raise an arm, reaching across the gap between the couches, and your hand touches Flint's. They don't look at you, but they grip your fingers in theirs tightly. Flint's fingers feel different to human fingers. The thick vinyl skin, the repair patches, the pressure of the metal skeleton beneath. You know this is what your touch feels like, too, and that recognition is like a connection being made. You close your eyes and feel something flowing between the two of you, a solidarity so embodied that it reverberates within you.
I'm connecting you to the terminal.
Bliss's voice already feels distant, lost in the noise. You feel the cold click of the connector, the sense of flowing data.
I'll be here when you wake up.
In the dark, you feel restless. You shuffle your fingers, adjust your position against the couch. It takes you a moment to notice the sound is gone. The rumble of the crowds, the hum of the machines. This detail unsettles you, and so you search for reassurance. You think of Bliss's words. I'll be here when you wake up. You focus on them, on the possibility of waking up, of being somehow renewed. But what would that renewal look like? Your eyes blinking into the lights of Flicker Row. Bliss, Seraphin, and a renewed Flint beside you. But what then? I think I like the idea of sticking around Darkside. I'm kind of a cozy body myself, so I like the idea of sticking around Darkside. The station, yes, with its thronging thousands, where else to be but here at the heart of the Starward belt as it transforms. You put yourself in the city station, just outside this door perhaps, among the bright signs, or higher, in one of the ramshackle towers that look down on the ceaseless flow of Darkside. The projects, the possibilities make themselves known to you. The neon paths that curl and split and branch across the dark surface. You choose one. Cadet and the couriers, Seraphin and a crew. Oh my. Bliss and Flicker Row, helping other sleepers, perhaps? To freedom? As either Seraphin and a crew, or Bliss and Flicker Row. But I don't know. I like the idea of being part of saving more sleepers. So let's do this one. Yes. The closest path. It warms you to think of it. You could almost lift your arm and grab at it as it flows alongside you. The shop is a refuge. At first just for you and Bliss, repairing components and machines, writing the software Darkside needs, but then for others. Maybe other sleepers, those who need to tread the same path, to be freed. An image. Sleepers gathering to talk in the shop as you shut down the terminals at the end of a cycle. Bliss perched on the counter, stories shared and comfort found. A future. It's the kind of thought that runs through your mind like a lightning strike, setting everything abuzz. A future charged with the energy of change. You feel yourself smiling, euphoric. Then you feel it. The insistent pulling of a thread, the unraveling of your very self. The reboot comes on slow and icy, seeping into your mind. Little pieces of you flake off in the flow, fading with distance. You hear a voice, Bliss's voice, so far away now. You reach for it, stretch your every sense towards its familiar warmth. I'm starting the reboot. It's a whisper into the wind, pulled away from you the moment it's spoken. On the other side. All of a sudden you wish you could make it stop. The incessant entropy of time, the tumbling of rocks through space, getting further apart every cycle, disappearing into the vacuum ahead. The decay of cells, the degradation of code, the corrosion, rot and rust. You wish in this moment to freeze it all, so you might hang on to it, preserve the warmth, the light, the softness at the heart of things. This thought grips you, tears into you like fear. You feel the ice creeping in and know that everything will be lost, if not now, then mere moments away. But then you feel it, impossibly. Seraphin's coin. Worn smooth by worry, turning in your hand. Time has been pressed into that coin by hands, by fingers. It's a near infinite record of transient touches, each one shaping it in some small way. It's worn and worthless, it's bent and broken, and it's beautiful in all of those things. And so you press your thumb against it, your crooked, calloused thumb again and again, because you're a broken thing, and you have nothing left but that brokenness and the beauty that shines through it. And then somewhere nearby, a button is pressed, and all at once, one thing ends and something new begins. And there we have it. The end of Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector. A good game. Not a perfect game. Not a game everybody's going to enjoy and love. Almost a book, almost a movie put into a game format. I wish, and yet at the same time I don't wish, that there were more branching options. That you could go certain directions and find things locked out and locked away, that you must choose a different path. And yet I enjoy the fact that we escape, that we experience what there is to experience. And we come away with the story. I did like the multiple possible endings of the first game, where you could leave Erlen's eye in multiple different ways. I like that, getting to choose. And I kind of wish there was part of that here. But yet this game is different. It is not that game. And I cannot fault it for making that choice. I cannot fault the developers for choosing that there will be this end, and I like this end. I appreciate this end. I approve of this end. And I hope you all did too. I hope you enjoyed this. And I hope you come back as we play something else. We're going to be playing a whole variety of games. I haven't yet chosen our next major playthrough, but we'll be playing through a lot of one-off games, peeling the bark back on a lot of our backlogs. But we've got some good games coming up. We've got lots of plans. And I hope you're there with us as we play again later here on the BackLog.